You know what that sound means. It's time to wake up those kids. The first day of school is here, but not without a few challenges. This morning, you'll hear how our local school districts are combating shortages on the road and also in the classroom.
Plus, drivers, you'll want to pay extra attention to the roads this morning as thousands of children make their way back to the bus stops. We're live telling you what first responders want to avoid this year.
And a child accused of threatening a local middle school is locked up once again this morning. You'll hear the new charges he's facing tied to a death investigation.
Happy. So just happy to have choices.
And slow internet may be a thing of the past in Cape Coral. Hear about the new company now in the running to help solve the issue.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News Today.
And thanks for counting on NBC2 News Today to get your school day started right. I'm Lisa Spooner.
And I'm Alan Campbell. Right now at 6:01, get ready for those first day back to school temperatures.
Yeah.
Not too bad right now, but you can't expect it to be hot when that final bell rings. Let's send things over now to First Alert meteorologist Jason Dunning. So Jason, how hot are we talking?
Well, if you had a test on your first day of school and you scored a 96, I think you'd be pretty happy. But as far as the temperatures are concerned, yeah, it's going to be a smoking hot day today as the kids are heading back to school, at least as they're letting out. This morning, though, temperatures pretty seasonable for mid-August in Southwest Florida. We'll call it 77 degrees at the bus stop. And we'll focus on Diplomat Elementary in the north part of Cape Coral today. You'll notice that sunshine through the afternoon. There's still a chance for some isolated thunderstorms out there today, but it's not going to be as stormy as it has been. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we've got some Saharan dust overhead, and that helps to dry out and stabilize the atmosphere a little bit more. I am tracking actually one shower over southern Collier County, at least over the land. You can see some thunderstorms off the coast moving away from us, but right over the East Trail, here's Highway 41, just to the northwest of Everglades City. We've got a shower that flared up just a little bit more, and this is tracking up to the north and west. So there's that chance, about a 10% chance for just a small shower out there this morning. Most of us will stay dry with hazy sunshine. Sunrise coming up just before 7 o'clock. You're going to notice that orange glow to the sky because of that Saharan air layer, that Saharan dust that we have up above. We usually see more colorful sunrises and sunsets and also more heat. There's that 96 by 3 o'clock. So our rain chances will get cut in half today from 60% yesterday to 30% today, but there's still going to be some storms rumbling across Southwest Florida. I'll pinpoint where and when coming up in your future casts in just about 15 minutes.
All right, thanks, Jason. It is 6:02. Breaking news this morning out of Collier County. Deputies there are trying to figure out what happened after a car was found submerged in water and the driver is nowhere to be found. This happened at Collier Boulevard and Port-au-Prince Road just before 4 this morning. Deputies found the car in about 3 feet of water. Again, this morning they're working to figure out who that driver is and where they are. We'll let you know if we learn anything new.
Well, it's time to get those kids up, make sure they're fed, and out the door because it is the first day of school. Whether your child is walking, driving, or heading to the bus stop, it's important they stay safe. In 2021, there were over 2,700 crashes involving school buses right here in the state of Florida. But look at this, 280 of those crashes happened here in Southwest Florida, something first responders want to avoid this year. NBC2 Chandler Blackman joins us live this morning from the bus compound on Tropicana Parkway in Cape Coral. So Chandler, we know there's a lot of laws that come with school buses. What type of penalties can drivers face?
Yeah, Alan, well, for starters, as you just mentioned, right now we are here at the bus compound here in Cape Coral, where the new superintendent is as well. You can see him here greeting those bus drivers. They aren't here right now, but they've been coming down here along this line. He's been waving at them before they head out and pick up those students. Now, both officers are also reminding parents to remind your kids to not sit on the curb of the sidewalk when they're waiting for a bus. Instead, they should be at least 5 feet or 5 steps away from the road. I'm live in Cape Coral. Chandler Blackman, NBC2.
All right, thanks so much, Chandler. Now, Chandler mentioned some of those laws, but do you know the laws when it comes to school buses? Because it could be a matter of life and death for students, and it's also going to help you avoid a hefty traffic ticket. So I want you to take a look at your screen. If you are on a 2-lane road, no matter which side you are on, all traffic must come to a stop. If it's a multiple paved medium, meaning there's no curb splitting the 4 lanes, again, all lanes need to come to a stop when the school bus stops. But if it's a 4-lane with a raised median, in the middle. The cars on the side of the bus must come to a stop, while those on the other side just need to be driving with caution.
6:08 and new this morning, coming into the NBC2 Alert Center, the President and the First Lady, they're preparing for a trip to South Carolina. John, good morning to you. Let's pull up our source, which is Sat 30 here in the White House, just releasing details of this visit. So this is brand new in the last 15 minutes here. The couple heading to the Low Country for a vacation, we're told. President Biden cleared to travel recently after a bout with COVID-19. Now we know the Bidens have been known to visit Kiowa Island in the past. When Mr. Biden was the vice president, this would be his first trip vacationing as president. The Bidens set to leave the White House here around 12:45, they're saying, this afternoon. Lisa, I'll keep tracking breaking news and watching social media right here in the NBC2 Alert Center.
I just hope the commissioners have enough sense.
Changes could be coming to a small subdivision in Lehigh Acres. Now residents are asking the county to step in.
And the Lehigh Acres hot dog guy is back in the hospital this morning. We'll tell you why at 6:19.
And tracking the tropics coming up at 6:15. We've been telling you about this tropical wave we're tracking in the far eastern Atlantic. Things looking a little bit different this morning. So I'll show you the latest and the latest spaghetti plots as well coming up in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Palm Casual, celebrating 40 years in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. Buy at the factory and save.
This morning, the Biden administration is moving forward with a plan to stretch the limited supply of monkeypox vaccine doses. The dose can now be administered into the skin rather than under it, and this would allow 5 people to be vaccinated instead of 1 person per dose. As of Monday, the U.S. government has shipped more than 617,000 doses of the vaccine. Taking a look here locally, there are now 10 confirmed cases of monkeypox in Southwest Florida this morning. 6 are in Lee County, 3 in Collier, and then there's 1 in Charlotte.
Charlotte County is making sure you're prepared in case a major storm heads this way. They're hosting numerous hurricane preparedness seminars this week. One is today and another is tomorrow. Locations are posted there on your screen. Now, the good news here, you don't have to RSVP, but make sure you bring any questions or concerns you may have. And NBC2 wants to keep you up to date on all tropical weather. We're constantly updating the First Alert Hurricane Guide Plus. So go ahead and pull out your smartphone and open your camera. Aim it at the code you see right here on your screen. It will then automatically pull up the guide for you to go through. You'll see everything you need to know and be prepared for the next storm.
It's been a while since we've seen the last storm. That was Colin back on July 2nd. So we've had this big gap in tropical activity, which we really like, but we're heading into the peak weeks of the hurricane season. We've been telling you about this tropical wave over the last several days going back to the weekend, and actually have some good news with this. It's not looking nearly as healthy as it did this time yesterday morning. And as we track it, this distance from the U.S. mainland, particularly South Florida, out to where it's located right now across the eastern Atlantic, that's about 3,000 miles away. And here's what's been going on with it over the last 24 hours. It's really struggling because it's got some dry, dusty air that's getting ingested inside its circulation. We've been talking about all the Saharan dust we've seen across the Atlantic, and these can be tropical killers. Good for us, though, as they help to suppress tropical activity. But you can see there's just not as much convection or thunderstorm activity as some of that dust gets wrapped around that very broad circulation. So the National Hurricane Center has actually dropped the odds of development over the next 5 days to 30%. It's still possible that we could see gradual development as it heads to the west and northwest, but it's got a lot of hurdles ahead, and this does not look like a storm right now. It's going to blow up into a big tropical system. Part of that has to do with the fact that we talked about the Saharan dust, but it's also going to move over some cooler waters, and there's some wind shear downstream. So as we look at the latest model plots, what we call the spaghetti models, I know you like to see these, so we'll take a closer look at where the track of that low pressure is. It doesn't show us how strong it's going to be, but it shows us just the general track of that tropical moisture. And you might look at that and say, well, it looks like it's kind of headed in this general direction, but by the time it makes it here north of the Caribbean islands, there's going to be a lot of wind shear. And so it's going to be really hard for this system to maintain any kind of development over the next several days. We'll definitely keep you updated, let you know if anything changes. Looking out the door this morning, at the weather windows, we definitely have that haze out there this morning, and that's because of that Saharan air layer, that Saharan dust, about 10 to 20,000 feet up in the atmosphere. We're starting off with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Get ready. It's going to be a hot day, and we're not going to see as many thunderstorms out there. There's a few storms in the Gulf waters about 40 miles off of our coast. Those are moving away from us. Let's look at the next 10 days. So today, back to school for the kiddos, 96. Yeah, it's going to be a hot one. Temperatures will stay in the mid-90s Thursday and Friday. We'll see some isolated thunderstorms both days. And then for the weekend, a slight uptick in rain chances as that Saharan dust leaves us. And we'll see more scattered storms into next week, and some of those could come early in the day, even in the morning. That's your NBC2 First Alert forecast.
Traffic on NBC2 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you've been injured, call Morgan & Morgan today or visit forthepeople.com.
6:19 is your time for this Wednesday morning. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. If you're heading out the door, I'm giving you a live look right now of Alligator Alley. This is along mile marker 55. So if you're heading from Broward County to Collier County, you are going to see a disabled vehicle. You can see him right there. No roadblock. So if you're driving that way, just drive extra carefully. Now, I do want to switch things over to our main maps here in Lee County. Not seeing any delays and no crashes to report. Up and down I-75, we are still very much in the green. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
It is 6:20. More than 50 dogs taken from just one property in Hendry County. We'll tell you what the sheriff's office is now considering for the owner. Next.
And with the first day of school today, here what the Lee County Sheriff's Office is doing to make sure every student stays safe.
Watch NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt weeknights at 6:30. Brought to you in part by Cornerstone Builders, serving Southwest Florida since 1988. Count on NBC2's Jason Dunning to weatherproof your plans. With the power of First Alert Live Radar, you'll know exactly what to expect and when to expect it.
Fort Myers, 948. This storm is going to be over your location.
Make your plans weatherproof. See weather conditions anytime, anywhere with the area's largest network of live weather cameras. The NBC2 View Network, sponsored by Associates and Bruce L. Shiner, attorneys for the injured, focused on justice since 1971.
All right, 6:25. Here's some breaking news coming into the NBC2 Alert Center. A brand new live feed of the Secretary of State in Congo. John, the cameraman's walking around a bit here, so it's a little bit shaky. INET 3, I'm going to let you use your discretion, but a warning at home that he or she, the cameraman, walking around, so it may get a little shaky, but
a fun day at the beach came to a pause after this shark was swimming just feet away from people. What you should do if you see one the next time you head out to the beach. Next on NBC2.
I was shaken. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
And a terrifying situation as people stood and watched a tree crush a daycare van in North Fort Myers. You'll hear from one of the witnesses who saw it happen firsthand.
And getting ready for a Saharan sunrise. This is what it looked like the last time we had some Saharan dust from Fort Myers Beach, looking east from Mary Lacer. So get your cameras ready this morning. I'll show you 2 ways the Saharan dust will impact your day. That's coming up in your First Alert forecast.
Traffic on NBC2 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you've been injured, call Morgan & Morgan today or visit forthepeople.com.
And here in your NBC2 Traffic Center, I've already spotted a couple of school buses this morning in Cape Coral. This is at the intersection of Veterans Parkway and Santa Barbara Boulevard, right near Cape Coral High School. That's your NBC2 Traffic Alert.
Preparing for hurricane season starts with a plan, and it's easier than ever. Scan to get the NBC2 First Alert Hurricane Guide Plus on your phone now. It's packed with information about what you need to know before, during, and after the storm from the weather experts you count on. The NBC2 First Alert Hurricane Guide Plus, sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers. Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News Today.
Right now at 6:29, you are taking a live look from the Punta Gorda Airport this morning. The sun is starting to peek through, and you may notice the haze in the sky. That's due to Saharan dust. Thanks for counting on NBC2 News Today. I'm Alan Campbell.
And I'm Lisa Spooner. That's right, the dust has officially made its way into the area. I joked on social media, I'm like, can I claim the dust in my house as Saharan dust? Jason, do I get to claim that?
I'll do it just for you. That's it, because the dust will have a hard time making it all the way to the ground. You might actually notice maybe a few specks on your car windshield. Sometimes that happens, and we could see a reduction in air quality today because these are some fairly moderate concentrations of Saharan dust. You're going to notice it more closer to sunrise at 7 o'clock as we see more of that orange glow to the sky. Looking live there from Punta Gorda. This is a three-dimensional view as we check out the NBC2 First Alert Live Doppler radar, and looking up, you can see that dust plume kind of hanging over our southwest Florida sky.
Traffic on NBC2 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you've been injured, call Morgan & Morgan today or visit forthepeople.com.
And I have good news for your Wednesday morning. We have no crashes to report in any of our counties. The bad news is that we're back to sharing the roads with school buses and parents dropping off their kids at school. So what you can expect today in Lee County, especially if you're heading down Daniels Parkway, Gateway Charter High School along Daniels, right near Gateway Boulevard, you are going to see a lot of traffic, especially for folks trying to head down to I-75. Here in Lehigh Acres, we have Lehigh Senior High School. This is near Lee Boulevard and Gunnery Road. Again, a major intersection where a lot of people take if you're trying to head down to Colonial Boulevard. So give yourself plenty of extra time. Leave your house right now if you need to go to work. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
All right, thanks, Brianna. 6:32 right now. From your Collier County News Team, I want you to take a look at this. That is a shark, and it's swimming just feet away from people enjoying the beach. This is at Clam Pass Park in Naples, actually on the bay side. NBC2's Lacey Lee joins us live from there this morning. Lacey, this is certainly unnerving and unsettling, to say the least. So what do people need to know if they do ever come in a contact with one of those unwanted visitors?
Good morning, Lisa. And shark experts say anytime you enter any large body of salt water, you should always make sure that you are checking your surroundings.
Well, new this morning in the NBC2 Alert Center, former President Trump, he's expected to be questioned under oath today about real estate dealings. I'm tracking this story for you as you wake up, John. Sat 3, that's our source. They just changed this live feed, a live look, New York City, Trump Tower. It's where the questioning is happening.
Well, this time of year, we tend to lose daylight very quick. Coming up, I'm going to walk you through how much daylight we'll lose through the end of the month.
And the good thing, Lauren, about those sunrises and sunsets, they're going to look extra colorful because of the haze. That's Saharan dust we have in our southwest Florida sky. We're going to see most of it move through today. And it's so hazy out there. I've got the camera pointed off toward the Gulf waters from the Naples Grand Beach Resort. If you look closely, you might see a few lightning flashes. This is a thunderstorm that you can't see too well because we have so much haze out there this morning. But as we look at the NBC2 First Alert Live Doppler radar, I just want to show you some of the lightning we've got out there off the coast of Collier County. And something else I want to point out, too. Notice how far away this lightning strike in particular is away from this parent thunderstorm. It's about 12 miles away. So just goes to show you, you don't have to have a thunderstorm right on top of you to get lightning close by. But the closest lightning to the coast of Collier County is just over 20 miles away. And these storms are tracking basically parallel to the coast. But we could see a little more development closer to the Lee County Islands as we go through the morning. But most of you will stay dry, and rain chances a lot lower today as we see some of that Saharan dust move in. And you can see it's pretty evident in our southwest Florida sky. You'll notice it more closer to sunrise about 15 minutes from now. But you can see that kind of hazy glow as we look from downtown Fort Myers and Babcock Ranch toward the eastern skyline. Checking in with Bosco this morning. If you're trying to take your best friend out quickly for that WALK over the next couple of hours, just hazy, sunny, very warm and muggy, upper 70s through 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock, we're up to 83 degrees, and temperatures rising pretty sharply from there with all that sun. And Saharan dust actually has a heating effect on the atmosphere, so that's why we're expecting to see near record heat today for places like Lee County and Fort Myers. The record is 97 degrees. We're going to be close to the mid to upper 90s today by 4 o'clock. There will be some pop-up thunderstorms, so I'm not saying it's going to be completely dry out there. There's just not going to be as many thunderstorms today compared to the last several afternoons, but those storms will develop closer to the more populated areas like Lee County by Saturday evening. So we're going to see a return of those scattered thunderstorms on Saturday and Sunday, and temperatures closer to average. Instead of 96, we're going to be up to around the lower to middle 90s. And we'll see scattered storms into next week. The difference, though, in our rain chances next week is with our winds coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, we're going to see the storms start close to the coast and then push inland. That's your NBC2 First Alert forecast.
Parents, as you're about to head out the door to take your kids to school, be sure to download the NBC2 weather app. You can track the weather right down to your neighborhood with the power of NBC2's live Doppler radar, so you can be prepared for any obstacles you may face taking the kids or picking them up from school. You can download it in Google Play and Apple App Stores.
A teen tied to threats of a mass shooting at a local middle school is facing even more charges this morning. We'll tell you how he's now tied to a death investigation. Next in our final 10 minutes.
Plus, this morning, kids are going back to the classroom. Drivers, it's important you pay very close attention to the roads. We'll tell you what officials want you to avoid at 6:57.
And breaking news, an SUV is found submerged in water in Collier County. But we'll tell you what deputies didn't find and are now looking for.
This news segment is brought to you by Rubenstein Law. Injured in a car accident or slip and fall? Call 1-800-FL-LEGAL. Also open on weekends.
Alan, right now in the NBC2 Alert Center, watching stock futures, and they are nudging a little bit higher ahead of that opening bell. Let's look live together at the numbers, John. INET 1, our final punch of the morning here, that third column. Always great to see that green. Investors bracing for the July inflation report.
Traffic on NBC2 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you've been injured, call Morgan & Morgan today or visit forthepeople.com.
All right, so let's get to those drive times, because if you're in Lehigh Acres, it's not looking good this morning. Taking State Road 82 and Lee Boulevard, 19 miles per hour. If you're coming from Cape Coral to Fort Myers, taking Midpoint Bridge, it's going to be a 9-minute drive. And I do want to give you a live look right now of Veterans Parkway and Santa Barbara Boulevard. I showed you this camera earlier. Traffic wasn't that bad, but you can see we are seeing those delays right near Cape Coral High School. If you're heading northbound to Santa Barbara Boulevard, be patient, because those turn lanes, if you're trying to head to Veterans Parkway, it's going to be bumper to bumper traffic. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
Well, we know many of you are getting ready to send your kiddos off to the bus stops. Local first responders want your kids to stay safe while they're there. Also, drivers, it's important that we share the roads. There were 2,700 crashes involving school buses last year. That's just in Florida. 280 of those happened right here in Southwest Florida, and Lee County was responsible for 200 of those. NBC2's Chandler Blackman joins us live now from Santa Barbara Boulevard in Cape Coral. So Chandler, what does each driver, of course, need to be aware of today? What do we need to know?
Yeah, Lisa, well, many of you watching are getting ready to head out the door or have already seen the kids loading the buses on our roads. So today's lesson is what to do and not to do when you approach school buses. So let's say you're traveling down Santa Barbara like we're doing right now, and a bus is in front of you on either side of the road flashing their red lights. If the road is divided into 2 lanes, that's your cue to slow down, stop, wait for the kids to get on, and proceed forward once those lights are off and the extended handle is pulled back. And on your screen is an example of what I'm referring to. Now, if there are several lanes with a turn lane in the middle, you must also stop. The only exception for when you wouldn't have to stop but still proceed with caution is if the bus is on the opposite side where there is some sort of median. Now, if you don't abide by these laws, you can face serious consequences for rolling past a stopped school bus, including fines and points on your license, which could lead to suspension. I'm live in Cape Coral. Chandler Blackman, NBC2.
Thanks, Chandler. Looking a little dusty out there this morning and very hazy as we look live from Captiva Island right now through the palm trees. And it's going to look like almost somebody's using an orange or pink filter out there as we start the day with some of that Saharan dust up above. So we'll see that hazy sunshine, a very hot day in store. And we're going to make it up to around 96, a degree away from a record high. Rain chances a lot lower compared to what we saw yesterday, but there still will be a few isolated thunderstorms developing by the late afternoon. Quick update on the tropics here. We're watching this tropical wave way out in the Atlantic, about 3,000 miles away from us, but the odds have dropped now down to 30%. That Saharan dust is really getting to it and getting wrapped in that circulation. So a lot of forecast models don't even develop this. We'll keep you updated, but right now does not look like a threat to the U.S. mainland.
We like seeing those numbers drop like that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for the Saharan dust.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good luck. First day of school.
Yeah. Have a good one, everybody.
Count on Lisa Spooner. Weekday mornings on NBC2.